Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Monday Musings-Danny SportsWrap. Well, we got ourselves a gloomy Monday, but it comes after a glorious weather weekend, and we really treasure those these days. Gloomy days seem gloomier. I think I've said that before, but the sunny days and the warm days really take away a lot of the angst and foreboding. You can get outside, you can walk the dogs, you can hit a golf ball, you can think about the things that you will be able to completely embrace in the future. Of course, we still can embrace games, and we can only engage in embracing games from the past, as we'll talk about when we talk about a little bit about baseball. And we talk about games in the future that we perhaps will be embracing and enjoying. And in the particular case of the return of the border war, games in the way off future. 4-game series. 2 of the games, of course, are in 25 and 26, but then it's all the way into the 30s. And I hope I'll be around to see those games as Missouri and Kansas renew their football rivalry. And, of course, they're getting back on the basketball court this weekend. Besides that, we are looking for rays of hope, dates, ways that teams are deciding to open up their stadiums, odd ways, little news and notes. There's a lot of different variety, potpourri, tribute to a legendary coach in the National Football League. It's all in the mix today on Monday Musings, Danny SportsWrap, right here. We're here with Joe Spiker, the CEO and president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you had a great year in 2019, a record year. 2020 comes, things are moving smoothly along, and then the coronavirus comes. But your company seemed to be very ready, very proactive, and very ready to serve your customers well.
Yeah, we adopted social distancing very early before the cities even put out the notices. And we started working from home. We are largely cloud-based as a company, so that transition was easy. Our technicians are wearing masks and gloves, and salespeople are not meeting with homeowners. We're doing everything digitally and doing everything we can to do our part to get over this as quickly as possible.
So for any needs that people have right now, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, you can always call us, 913-257-5426. But the best way is to go to eastonroofing.com, put your information in, and we'll give you a call.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters. Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Visions' goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. My friends at Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture are among the most accomplished and trusted clinics in the nation. Only one clinic has been rated in the top 5 in all 3 categories of chiropractic care, acupuncture, and rehabilitation, and that clinic is ASFCA. They have locations in Olathe, Overland Park, Prairie Village, Belton, and Lee Summit. Doctors Brad and Christina Woodle and their accomplished team of doctors and therapists will treat you like family, for the simplest of injuries to the most complicated conditions to avoid surgery. Whether you are seeking treatment for an injury or just looking to stay healthy and fit, this is the place for you. And it's been the place for me for almost 2 years now. I've been a strenuous daily exerciser for years, and as time goes on, that takes its toll. But regular appointments at Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture have helped keep me ticking on, and even as the years pile up, their regular care has allowed me to keep to my regimen and feel great. If you want to feel the same, give them a call or visit them at asfca.com/Danny. They accept all insurances and are open Monday through Saturday, and make sure to mention that Danny Clinkscale recommended Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Welcome back, and let's start it off with the border war and its return, a 4-year series signed. And, of course, because of the vagaries of football scheduling, it's not exactly going to happen right away. It's going to happen on campuses, which I think is a good thing. But Missouri and Kansas will play football again in 2025 and play for the first time since November 26th of 2011. And as the series wound down, actually Missouri pulled ahead in the series, no matter whichever team's version you get. Of course, it differs by one game, but Missouri won 4 of the last 5 games played between the two teams, and those were some of the greatest games in the history of the series, and they were played out in Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium. Moving the games to Kansas City for 5 years, it was supposed to be 6, ended up being really a cool thing, at least for a while, and it coincided with the most high-level game ever played between the two teams, Missouri winning 36-28, up by 3 touchdowns in that game, and fending off Kansas in a battle of 2 versus 3 with the number 1 ranking on the line because LSU had lost earlier in the day, and those were peak deals, to say the least. 80,000 fans, and then a couple of epic games to follow as well, with Kansas winning one in the snow, 40-37, and Missouri winning one, 41-39. And then after that, Missouri was better. Kansas was starting to get bad again, and in the end, the last couple of games saw diminishing attendance, and there was speculation at the time as to what the future of the series in Kansas City was going to be. There was one game remaining, and of course, it was never played in 2012. I think this is a cool thing. We embrace it. Time heals all wounds, I guess. Missouri's move to the SEC has certainly been financially a good one for them from a rivalry standpoint. Probably not, but and Kansas, of course, in football has returned to the bad old days of being a miserable program. Missouri was really hot to start in the SEC, and they've been middling since then, but certainly you would think maybe by 2025 Kansas can have some dreams of being a viable program. But in the end, in the border war, as we look at it, generally you would say that this, as we look at it now, and maybe that will change, will be a big challenge for the Kansas football program and a big challenge for the Missouri basketball program. Of course, basketball will be starting to be played this winter, and that's kind of split between a couple of games in Kansas City and a couple of campus games as well. And all that means in the short term is that Cuonzo Martin and Missouri's program have one more difficult game on their schedule. But those games are guaranteed sellouts no matter where they're going to be played. And Kansas sells out everything, and Missouri sells out when Kansas comes to town. And you combine the two in Kansas City, and you've got a real hot ticket for that. But we already knew about that. Football will return. It should be fun. And as I said, way out there in 31 and 32, I hope to be able to attend those without a walker as the two teams resume play. So kind of a fun bit of news that came in over the weekend. Let's turn to the National Football League. And just this morning, the news that Don Shula had passed, living a long and full life to the age of 90, winning as football coach in National Football League history, championship coach with the Baltimore Colts, championship coach with the Miami Dolphins, and of course the coach of the only undefeated team in NFL history. And it ended up being a successful businessman after he coached for a very, very long time, a well-respected and liked man completely, and he goes to his grave with his team still being the only one that has won all their games in a football season as they light the cigars and raise a glass, and he will never have to not do that as he passes away at the age of 90. Smiles all around for the Kansas City Chiefs. It seems that just either revisiting games as the Super Bowl was replayed again on TV and radio over the weekend, and every bit of news just seems to bring a smile, even if it's something as insignificant as signing basically a player who's been a complete bust so far in his career, Taco Charlton, who has played for a couple of teams and was a number 1 draft choice for the Miami Dolphins. And it, of course, has inspired the fact that they should have waited till Tuesday to sign him because it's Cinco de Mayo. And I'm sure people will be buying some jerseys with Taco on it. And whether he will actually make an impact on the field remains to be seen. But the thing is, it seems like the expectation for the Chiefs is that no matter what happens, things will come up roses. And that's the way I kind of feel, too. I kind of feel that Taco Charlton, who has had apparently issues as far as motivation is concerned and attitude, will come to town and in a rotation with a former teammate and Frank Clark will be a viable and effective player. That's just the expectation you have with the Chiefs now. And, of course, they do seem to have a real affection for Michigan players, as Brett Veach seems to look to the maize and blue often, and they signed another developmental quarterback as if they need one, and Shea Patterson from Michigan. They have several Michigan players on their team. They drafted a Michigan player in Mike Dana, so a real Michigan flavor for the Chiefs. But it's just a good vibe around the Kansas City Chiefs. That's all you can say. Everything feels good. The only discussions that are to be had is whether Patrick Mahomes should take less money or more money, and that discussion was batted around on ESPN this morning. And I guess my feeling on this is if Patrick Mahomes wants every last dollar, he deserves it. He's played now 2 wildly successful seasons and 1 season of apprenticeship for pennies on the dollar for the kind of player that he is. I don't expect that he's going to seek every last dollar, but even if he does, I won't hold it against him. My actual attitude would probably be that he's going to make so much money off the field that his salary, as far as being on the field, is really only important as far as whether he wants it stacked up to as being the best salary in the National Football League. And that's never going to happen anyway, because he'll sign a long-term contract, and then a couple of years later he'll be under contract, and somebody else will come up for renewal, and they'll get more money. And so I don't know how much it matters that he gets every last dollar. He doesn't need it. He'll probably have as many commercial endorsements as Peyton Manning does, and Peyton Manning certainly has been the gold standard for that. Tom Brady has mostly let his actions on the field do the talking, and hasn't really been that iconic a pitch man, but he doesn't have to be. His wife's just as rich as he is, if not richer, so he doesn't need to seek those things out. But Patrick Mahomes enjoys doing that type of thing after being patient. He's everywhere as far as commercials are concerned, so he's just going to make so much money, and we're talking monopoly money here these days. Heck, there's not a monopoly money is a silly old phrase. They'd have to raise the denominations tenfold in order for anything to be monopoly money. But anyway, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are just a feel-good story right now at a time when we certainly need feel-good stories, and the only thing that's has a downside to it is the real possibility that Chiefs fans are going to have to consume their defending championship season entirely on television, perhaps. We'll wait to see as we start to open up a little bit on this particular date, as a matter of fact. But it still seems very likely that at least at the outset, National Football League football will be played before empty, if not close to empty stadiums. Maybe we'll improve enough time by September 10th that is not the case, but I'm not so sure I believe that will happen. Well, quarterbacks do make news. They make news all around the National Football League. You see the downside of it for a franchise like the Bears, who decided that Mitchell Trubisky was a better player than Patrick Mahomes and used a second number 2 pick in the draft on him. Then just a couple of years later, they're not even picking up his 5th-year option, and they have another quarterback who seems more likely to be the starter in Nick Foles on their roster. And you see another quarterback in Andy Dalton making news by making what seems to be kind of an odd move and going to the Dallas Cowboys. Perhaps the Cowboys are using this for a little bit of leverage as far as their situation with Dak Prescott is concerned. You would have thought that Dalton perhaps would go someplace where he could be the starter. More and more, it seems like Jarrett Stidham is the guy that the New England Patriots want. I thought when Andy Dalton was released that the New England Patriots would be a perfect landing spot for him. That does not appear to be the case. Also, Dalton was not released until well along in the process, so there weren't that many jobs to be had, which seems quite unfair to him, as a matter of fact. And he'll sign this 1-year contract, play or not play in Dallas. We'll see how that little soap opera plays out. And then he'll be a free agent again, and then there'll be far more jobs open for him as well. Dalton's been a pretty effective quarterback in his career. He's not been a star, but he certainly is, to me, a starter-worthy player, and just 10 years into your career at quarterback is not particularly old. So Dallas Cowboys always make news and always have things overanalyzed, and that certainly is the case with this particular move as well. But all NFL news just merely becomes in the context for us of the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs are the defending champions. They have the best player in football. They have the highest profile player in football, and that is all good. Let's talk about some oddities and things coming up next. We'll talk a little baseball. We'll talk a little Michael Jordan. And we'll talk a little bit about a lot of things. And that is up next on Monday Musings, Danny Sports Wrap for this particular Monday. Hope you're having a good day.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Hey everyone, this is Matt Llewellyn from 23rd Street Brewery, wishing you well while you stay safe during this time of uncertainty. Due to the recent news, you won't be able to get the same in-restaurant experience at the 23rd Street Brewery that you've come to expect over the past 16 years. But you can get the same delicious items prepared with the highest level of staff cleanliness available for carryout and delivery through our partners Eat Street. You can also still enjoy our craft beers and crowlers for to-go service. So remember, stay safe, and together we will all get through this time of uncertainty.
For many people, a family law case will be one of the most difficult experiences in their life. The law firm of Kenneth McRae will help you through it. Personal and effective help from Ken in concert with you will develop a unique strategy for your unique case. As Ken always says, divorce can be civil law, not civil war. Licensed in Kansas? Visit McRaeLawOffice.com or call 913-972-4765.
We're visiting with Larry Marshall, former Chiefs defensive back and punt returner and now a Chiefs ambassador. Larry is a former pro football player with the aches and pains that come with that. And moving on in age, as we all are, what do the Canaway CBD products do for you?
It's been a great relief for me. Being a punt and kickoff returner, collisions were a mainstay of my career, and these Canaway products, the salve especially, has really helped me try to get through every day with the aches and pains that I've had over a career of 7+ years in the NFL.
I get similar benefits as well, particularly with my back. Certainly wasn't a football player. What's the best way for our listeners to get more information about the great products themselves?
Well, I'm so enthused about it, Dana. They just contacted me at larrymarshall.canaway.com, and I can give them all the information they need to help them get through the day as well.
Start gaining all the benefits that Larry and I do from the trusted and reliable line of Canaway products. As Larry said, visit larrymarshall.canaway.com and get information on all the great products from Canaway. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Let's talk a little baseball as we start off in segment 2 of Monday Musings, Danny's Sports Wrap. And we do that with talk about actual baseball being played with games that count. Of course, I think in any other context in the world prior to the coronavirus pandemic, we wouldn't talk about the Korean Baseball Organization, but they are starting to play regular season games tomorrow before empty stands. Of course, we talked before about the fact that some of the franchises have used robots to bang drums and things like that, but they will be playing without fans, with umpires with gloves and masks. Some of the players at first were doing that. It doesn't seem like many of them will do that, but we will have actual professional baseball being played and a model to be used as far as that is concerned for Major League Baseball. But it also comes in the context of the fact that Korea did a remarkable job and or was remarkably lucky. They were hit with the coronavirus far less than any of the other industrialized nations in the world. And in fact, at this current time, they have less than 10 cases per day of the coronavirus. But it will be a little bit of a model because there already is talk if one person tests positive, will they actually shut down the league for 3 weeks? But regular baseball will be played. I don't know if they'll start to stream that or show that on television or whatever, but it is competitive baseball, and it's probably the maybe third or fourth best league in the world. So baseball is back, sort of, kind of. But besides that, here in this country, there is not much going on as far as any news is concerned about baseball. And it's typified by the fact that if you just click on your MLB.com, your latest news includes things like Blake Snell winning the computerized The Show game champion. He was the dominant player in that. And the other articles are things that are just pieces that are made up. No news, no here's another date, here's another plan, how are we going to play baseball? It's like biggest pop culture moments for all 30 teams, the time Mike Trout won a home run derby left-handed, the 10 strangest trades in MLB history. Kind of fun reading, but no real news as far as baseball is concerned. But baseball to be consumed here in Kansas City, as Fox Sports Kansas City over the next couple of weeks will show the 11 wins that the Kansas City Royals had in the 2015 playoffs, and they'll start it off tonight with Game 2 of the divisional series against the Astros. I have not watched all that many old games during the course of this particular pandemic, except for soccer games that I don't know the result of from way in the past, and I haven't done actually that much of that either. But I might catch at least some of these because I've never watched them, because I was at them. I was at every single one of these games. It was one of the highlights of my career. It was an unbelievable experience, the press conferences, the games themselves, the comebacks, the classic aspects of both of those series. And my vantage point was from a press box in every single one of those games. So I've never seen any of those games on television, and it might be interesting to do so. And once again, with the Chiefs as champions and the Royals in the 5-year anniversary of their championship, will allow some real fun memory lane stuff for Kansas City sports fans, baseball fans, and just another bit of release for people in that regard. So Royals games on TV over the next couple of weeks, and then the Kansas City Star is going to do a lot of coverage and memories of those games, so it'll be fun for the fans to relive that as we hope that baseball comes back at some point in 2020. Of course, it comes back in an atmosphere where the Royals aren't particularly good and don't have that many expectations, but this particular thing will make people hungry for baseball. Maybe the Royals can start off with a bang and create some excitement, but there's real excitement, and you know the result. They're not showing any of the losses. They're showing just the 11 wins, so it's a feel-good thing. Even Dayton Moore is getting a taste of it for the first time watching those games back, which he hasn't done in the past. Around the world, there are small signs of sports returning in the world of soccer. Individual workouts are starting in MLS. Individual workouts are being done even in Italy, which has been the worst place, obviously, in the epicenter for the coronavirus, and they are starting to do individual workouts. An unfortunate major competitor for the worst countries, of course, are our country, but England as well, and they're still bravely talking about somehow concluding the Premier League season. That is seeming more and more like more of a dream than some kind of reality. They're still talking about sometime in June. These dates are set, and then they seemingly drift along further down the line. The Bundesliga in Germany, where they have started to get more of a reduction as far as the cases are concerned, are looking to resume play perhaps this month. That also seems unlikely, but at least we're moving towards a place where some of these things are seen as more realistic, but the realities all changed. And one of the realities that at the outset didn't seem like it was going to be a for certain reality is that it seems like nobody is going to play in front of fans for quite a long time. And maybe golf might be the first one, but they're starting off with their first 4 tournaments, and they're hoping to start later this month as well. Outside, no fans, that seems realistic, but as far as fans gathering in large quantities, it doesn't seem safe, although it seems like it's going to be legal pretty soon in many areas. The third step, for instance, of the Kansas 3-step return to normalcy includes gatherings over 2,000 allowed in about a month or so. So we'll see. It doesn't seem like we've made as much progress as we need to be implementing some of these things, but implementing them we are, and we'll see if it works in the way that we want it to. And yes, indeed, I will absolutely conclude a little bit with some comments about The Last Dance. If you've listened, you know that I've considered it entertaining TV, but not necessarily must-see TV. I watched episode 5 last night. I have not watched episode 6. I do think that this was produced in conjunction with the cooperation of Michael Jordan's camp, so you get a real Jordan flavor. It's not as if they tried to make him look like, completely distort him and look like a Mr. Sunshine or anything. You do get to see and hear currently with the recent interviews how driven and unbelievably driven, and that's really the most overriding thing of this is the real and imagined slights that Michael Jordan uses to drive him. And in the end, we're seeing stories that now are bearing a lot of similarity. The most important aspect of last night was, of course, that the episode was dedicated to Kobe Bryant, who tragically passed away, obviously, recently, and his drive and his determination geared in the same manner as Michael Jordan. And I've enjoyed it. I found it entertaining. It's good documentary filmmaking. I think it is skewed a little too much to be a vanity piece for Michael Jordan, but he's the greatest basketball player of all time, or at least one of the 1, 2, or 3, and nobody else is much in the argument for most people, and for maybe a generation of basketball fans who I think absolutely knew a lot about Michael Jordan anyway, but people are saying, oh, the young people are getting to discover Michael Jordan. I don't know about that, but for somebody who lived through it, I found it entertaining, but not necessarily as riveting as other people have, and I think that this has been an absolute boon for the reputation of Michael Jordan as well, because this being released at a time where there's nothing else going on creates an unbelievable avalanche of reaction and discussion about Michael Jordan, and I guess good for him. Well, good for us that we've got some good news amidst all the coronavirus gloom, and on this particular gloomy day, I hope I provided some smiles and some entertainment, and feel free to come by all the time. Mondays, it's this particular piece. This Wednesday, we're back to music with Tim Finn. We've got our personality profiles, a kind of cool surprise on Friday for the blast from the past. There's a little tease of that. It's all part of the mix at DannyKlinkscale.com and the Reasonably Irreverent podcast, and some other important announcements coming up as well. So thanks for joining me, and you have a great time.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like the law offices of Kenneth McRae, developing a unique strategy for your family law case. Divorce can be civil law, not civil war.